Hello everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the National Technical Assistance Center for Voting and Cognitive Access, the Distance Training Webinar Series. This is the second of 3. Next slide, please. And before we dive into all of the training, we would like to remind you that we are being recorded. If you can, whenever you're not speaking, please put your phones or other devices on mute so that we don't pick up background noises. That will help us a lot. And if you have a question, please go ahead and just let us know or type in a question into the box that you have on the side of your screen there, and Juliana will let us know that you have a question. Today, we are going to learn a lot of information, and so if we are going too fast, please let us know to slow down. That want to make sure of that. And we are going to learn the options that you have to personalize your training in your state, and we're going to learn how to, the toolkit, how you can design it to adjust to your training audience's needs. And so before we get any further, would like to just check in with each of the states and have you say your name and the organization that you're with. And we'll start with Alabama.
Robin Lunsford, Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program in Tuscaloosa.
Brittany Gore, President at People First of Alabama.
This is Alice, Outreach Coordinator for the University of Alabama.
And Susan Ellis. Okay. Let's check in with the Arizona team.
Monica Cooper, Secretary, People First of Arizona.
Katie Griffith, and I'm the president of People First of Arizona.
Jolene, and I'm a member at large of People First Arizona.
Ronaldo Fowler, Arizona Center for Disability Law, Arizona's Protection and Advocacy.
Bill Lucero from the Youth Action Council of Arizona.
Okay. Next, we're going to check in with Florida.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Barb Page. I'm with Florida's Disability Rights Florida, Florida's PNA.
Hi, this is Jennifer Farmer. I'm also with Disability Rights Florida, and none of our Florida folks are able to today.
Okay. And let's check in with Maryland.
Hello.
We're with People on the Go, and I'm the advocacy consultant.
I'm sorry, we had a little bit of a sound glitch there, Maryland. Could you start one at a time again, please?
I'm Tara Adams, and I'm representing People on the Go. I'm an advocacy consultant.
Can you tell who that was?
No. Was it Ken?
Vincent? Vincent? We're having a very difficult time hearing you.
Please.
Did you hear us say talk?
It's really, really difficult to hear him at all. Juliana's going to try to send you a code, Vincent, that hopefully you can use to clear up the sound difficulty. Do you have Vincent on your screen, Juliana? Almost had you there. It's still a little bit difficult.
Udia.
Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Virginia Milton Marcus. I'm the Director of Maryland Disability Law Center. We're the Protection and Advocacy Organization in Maryland.
Hi, Virginia.
Hi.
I heard Tierra, Vincent, and Virginia. Did I miss anybody there? Tammy, you're there too. Okay.
You can.
Say again, please.
This is Tammy and Ken.
Oh, Tammy and Ken. Okay. Nice to have you both back.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Is there anyone else that has joined us from the state teams that we missed? Just making sure, since it's the beginning, sometimes folks join in a few minutes late. What we're going to do is we're going to have our presentation team, Nancy Ward, Dee, and myself are going to be presenting, and Leah and Rolf and Juliana will be helping us with some of the technical assistance that we may encounter during the presentation. So we will go ahead and get started. We're going to switch screens. We're going
Teresa?
to... Yes.
It's Leanne. I wanted to ask if the teams would be able to take a picture of themselves during the training and put it on the NTAC Facebook page, or if they're not on Facebook, they could email it to me and I could put it up there.
Okay. That would be great if you guys could do that. Just so you know, we would love to have ourselves on video, but when we do that in our room, it does slow the recording down, and we don't want to mess that up. So hopefully, if you saw us earlier, we were all gathered around, excited to be here, just like you are, and wanting to get into this boat training toolkit. Go to the larger PowerPoint. The one on the side there, yep. And also, if you can pull up the toolkit. Would you?
Remember how I showed you to do it?
What I do? Okay. What do you do?
No, you're not.
This will be our second time doing this training, and one of the things is that we wanted to see if we could do this in a way that you could see what it is your audience is going to see and what it is that you're going to be looking at. So that's why we wanted to try this side by side. So I'm hoping that no one will have difficulty with it. Just so you know, you could, if you wanted to, have a larger version on somebody else's computer if you wanted to, for anyone that has difficulty seeing this. So hopefully, and it's mostly important that we learn how to use the toolkit, but we were discovering that there's all kinds of treasures hidden inside of our PowerPoint, too, that we wanted to share with you. And just so I bet you somebody noticed that those things don't have the same name. SABE has been doing the Vote project for a number of years, and we decided that we're going to update everything and call it SABE's Vote project. So all of the tools will be updated by the next month or so, but you will see in this mixture of Vote project and Project Vote. They are the same thing. We are just updating the name. So we apologize if that causes you any confusion. As you see there, you have the first slide would be where you would put your name and all of your presentation team. That first slide is called the blurry screen, and it was an idea that we had that you could make this screen blurry when you used the transparencies, and so that's why it says that. Nancy's going to run, slow down. Nancy's going to run through the opening of the tools again, just so everyone is on the same page about the tools that you would need to get set up for the training.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have ever heard this saying or not, but together everyone achieves more, and if you do the TEAM, that spells team, and so that's what we want you guys to work together as, is the team. And so the different jobs that you'll see in the toolkit are, if you see a person with a bubble, then that means that you're supposed to be saying something. And if you see the computer, that means that it's going to be the computer and the PowerPoint slides. And the agenda, or the piece of paper, that's the toolkit itself. That's what you pass out as handouts. And then the note taker is the big paper, so the easel and flip chart paper. And another thing that's helpful for you to use is to take photos of the training so that you guys have pictures and have memories of it. Also, if you see the vote toolkit, it means that it's the handout. So you would be handing something out. And then we also use magic markers and tape. And so that's there also. So make sure that you have your magic markers and tape. And then to make our activities fun, we use candy. And so you have to make sure that you bring the candy with you. Because believe me, if you forgot the candy, you'd be in big trouble. So another thing that you want to have is voter registration forms, so that you can help people register right there at the training. Go up a little bit, please. And then if you see a picture of the voting machine, then that means that your group could practice with the voting machine. So if you ask ahead of time, you can get your Secretary of State to bring your machine so that everybody can practice on them and people don't have to be afraid of them. We also have sign-in sheets and name tags. Go up, please. Guys, our computer just went blank, so give me a second. One of the things that you want to make sure when you register somebody to vote is that you only use a black or blue pen. That's the only kind of ink that will be accepted. One of the videos that we're going to show you later on is the Go Vote training video, and you can download it. Since this is electronic, you can just download it on the computer. And then also the papers will show you how to get around voting problems, because we wanted to give you guys solutions of different problems that people might run into. Go up, please. You may want to bring some paper for taking notes, and so that is showing the paper so that you could bring it for notes. A lot of times it's included, you know, in the notebook or in your packet. Your group might like to give out certificates, and that's one of the things that's really cool. Anytime somebody can get a certificate for something that they accomplished, that makes you feel good. And you also want to bring a projector and laptop. And then also it's important to help people understand about the organizations that are doing the training. So you might want to bring brochures about your self-advocacy organization or your P&A. Go up, please.
Tell them how to minimize the GoToWebinar panel. If it's not minimized on their screen, that might be a problem.
This, Teresa, is this where you were going to come in?
Why don't you go ahead and finish the section, and I'll take over at the introduction to the training, topic 1.
Okay.
Unless you would like me to help you.
It's just that it's real small print for me.
Okay, I can take over. That's fine. The toolkit is divided into 10 parts, and we will call them topics. Each topic has slides to guide the training and may have handouts or a video. The pictures of the toolkit topics will help you and your team. Here is a list of the pictures and what they mean. And we went through this real quickly last time, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to remember. Every section has a time. And remember, this time is based on when a group does the full training of all of the topics. So you can adjust the time a little bit based on how big your group is. It's approximately 15 to 20 people that we estimated the time on. So you can adjust it from there. Remember that the bubble is the person speaking, and that's usually next to a blue box. And the blue box is your script in the toolkit. And it's there to help you remember the things that you want to say. It's there to help you remember that you have an example that you might share. The next little picture is the group picture. It means that there's a group activity or discussion. Juliana, can you scroll up, please? Mm-hmm. And so there's a picture of the big paper when there's a big paper activity or discussion. And again, there's the projector and laptop to remind you that there are slides that you'll be using during that part of the topic. Here is a very helpful tool that I hope all of you will use. When we put this together, we couldn't believe all of the different jobs that it took to put the training together. And here is a list of all of the different things that we came up with that you will need people to be assigned to or given a role to play in the training. And if you've ever had an event, you know all of the different pieces that it takes to put one of these things together. And so we have this list here to help you out. If you ever find that we have missed something, please let us know, because we want to make this as detailed as possible to help everyone have a successful training. Go ahead, please. And again, here is the list of all of the big papers that each section needs. When I was learning how to do the training, this was the job that I had. And I said, boy, it sure would be nice to have a list of all the papers that you might need. And this really does help you to remember everything instead of going page by page and trying to find them in the toolkit. So here they are for you, just to make things go a little more smoothly. Go ahead. Now I'm going to take you through topic 1, and this is the introduction to the training. Here is the page that helps you with your planning. Every topic will have this plan for you to help you adjust your agenda according to the topics that you choose to train in your state. Here are the lists that you'll need to help you get ready. One of the tricks down there is, I mentioned it briefly just to tease you a little bit. What is this blurry screen thing? It is one of your tools. We blur the screen with the projector on purpose. And boy, does that annoy people. They come up to you, they say, why is that, you need to clear up your screen, let me help you. And I'm like, no, it's okay, I can see it just fine. Well, just to buy us time. Basically, this is an opening question. Go ahead and scroll down, Juliana, on the toolkit. This is one of the tools that you have at your disposal. When people think about voting, if they have not been involved in voting for a very long time or very much, it's pretty blurry to them how this whole process works. This whole thing about voting can be really overwhelming to people. And the blurry screen is how we pretty much feel about government in general. But we are going to clear up many of their voting questions, and that's when you clear up the screen. So you do your blurry screen on purpose. And it's one of our favorite tools. It gets a lot of attention, and it brings everyone to focus in the room. You have many activities that will help people get connected, but and they will get to know each other in this first topic. But the blurry screen gets more people excited than you could ever imagine. People like things to be clear and ready to go, and us keeping that blurry just really gets on people's nerves. And that's why the way we feel about voting, right, a lot of times, is learning about the candidates, all those commercials get on your nerves. This is the way we kind of feel about voting. So you use your blurry screen technique, and it will really help you get things started in a good way. Here you get the chance to see the first purpose of the topic, which is one of the tools that you can also use. This purpose is to get to know each other, find out the most important question that each person has about voting and would like to get an answer to. There's an activity that helps us gather that information. That is also something that if you get the opportunity to, we would like for you to share that with the team, the Voter Project team, because we want to know what is still going on for people in the community. What is the things that concerns them. And that's how much of the toolkit was developed, was trying to respond to the most important question that people had about voting. Go ahead, please. So this again is the parking lot. Most of us have used these. This is if somebody asks something that is not related to the topic that you're talking about right now, but that you don't want to lose. A lot of times when people come to Voter Project trainings, they have issues in their life that they're trying to resolve. And sometimes they're not related to voting right now. But as we know, most of our issues do become voting issues late sometime during our lives, whether it's services or whatever. So we sometimes collect that information and help that person process how that could become a voting issue for them. So it's always important to take those down, and we never want to dismiss somebody if they have something going on for them that's, especially if it's keeping them from concentrating on the training. We want to get that out in the open, let them talk about it for a couple of minutes, and ask them if it's totally something personal, then we say, could I talk to you about that at break? Now, why would I tell you all this stuff? Well, it's called a facilitator technique, and I want you to know that these things are going to happen to you. We don't want you to be caught off guard. That's what this is all about. Okay, go ahead. So there is your blurry screen. Keep going. And I did the purpose of the training. And then, so here is the purpose of the overall training, is to learn about voting issues, how to register to vote, how to go to the polls and vote, where you can vote, what might get in the way when you go to vote, how to build connections across local, state, and state agencies, self-advocacy groups, family members, elected officials, and legislators to increase voting participation of people with disabilities. Because that's what we're all here for. We really want to increase participation of people with disabilities. Keep going. And then go to the next slide, please. In here, if you had a longer training and one of your goals was that groups of people get to know each other and learn that they have a lot in common when it comes to voting issues, you would have this activity. And so it's one of those standard interview each other kinds of activities. And we found that it was real helpful if you decide you want to do this activity to have the handout that goes with it, because people had a hard time remembering things about each other when they talked for a few minutes. They started getting confused. And so we do have a handout that goes with this activity. And as an instructor or as a facilitator, you might want to use the role play next to it, next to the slide there that's in your toolkit, excuse me, to help you demonstrate how it's done. But here is where you might find out your most important voting question. So we want to capture that on big paper when people are starting to tell us those. And that's kind of the reason you came here today, is getting at that a little bit. What is, sometimes when you ask people blunt questions, they're not really sure when you ask them. So your reason for coming to the training today helps you get to what is your most important voting question. And so that's why it's worded a couple of different ways to help people talk about it. Go ahead. So Nancy's going to talk to us about how voting fits into life. Next slide, please. Nancy? Nancy, if we can. There you go.
Sorry, guys, I forgot to take the mute off. So, like any of the other topics, it's going to tell you what you need to do to prepare to present this topic. So you're going to need to figure out how much time it's going to allow, that you're going to need the big papers, so you're going to need the tape, the markers, and copies of the handouts. Go to the next one, please. And so the purpose of this topic is to talk about how the choices to vote, how the choice to vote fits into our lives. Share stories about the importance of voting in your life. So what we would like you guys to do is share examples with us if you have any examples that you'd like to share.
Do you need to unmute, Juliana, or?
So I'd like to share an example. One of the advisors, and he's on the board right now, of directors for People First, when his ethics teacher, I believe it came from Czechoslovakia. And it was really important to her to make sure that everybody voted, because she came from Czechoslovakia and her parents put her and her sister on a boat to come to the United States because the Nazis were taking over Europe, all over Europe. And in the United States, this is one of the few countries where we have democracy and we aren't given the right to vote. So we need to keep that in mind, so that we don't lose the right to vote. So, Juliana, are people unmuted so they can share if they have anything?
Yes, everyone should be unmuted.
Okay. So, what types of things are people have you voted for? When, like, everybody's made a decision as a family where they're going to go for vacation. So that's voting. Can you move it up, please? So these are different things that you can vote on, and we just wanted to give you guys some examples of what you could vote on. Can you guys think of any other things that you would vote on?
This is Monica from Phoenix, Arizona. Like members of your church, sometimes there's elders. I don't know if that's up there, but like your members of your church, they're like voted for like elders or deacons or whatever like that.
Okay, so that would be an example that we do not have up there, because you're right, it's not up there.
This is Brittany Goldberg, and well, voting for officers and regional representatives for people.
So you could vote for officers or representatives for your self-advocacy organization. That's a good thing to do. Does anybody else have any other examples?
What about student, if you're talking, this is Monica again, what about like at school or like student council or as members of a student-run club?
I think that's a good idea, Monica. And that's not there either. We have school board members, but
I mean, I was thinking the reason I mentioned this is because as trainers, if we're going to be training youth, that's just one group of people, we got to think about where they're at.
right. And as I said, the blue boxes give the trainer directions, while the yellow print means that it can be made state specific. So are there any other things that you guys have voted on? Okay, so one of the activities that we do during this training is we would have you vote for your favorite candy between Tootsie Rolls, Suckers, and chocolate bar, and chocolate candy. And so say that the chocolate won. Well, people who voted didn't register. So, oh no, all the chocolate doesn't count. And so, then maybe the hard candy won. And so it's a way that's fun to show people how to show people about voting.
Nancy, could I add a little more to your description?
Sure.
So there are a couple of ways to do this. I've done it in your toolkit. It asks you to use print some of the ballots on white paper, some on pink paper, and you can even have another one that's green paper if you want. You don't have to do that. That's just one of the ways that will help you if you're a trainer and it's hard for you to remember how to do this one. You can use the different colors to help you to sort them instead of having to count them. I like counting them myself, but there are different ways that self-advocates have discovered to do it. So if the person has a ballot on white paper, it might mean that the person forgot to register. on the pink paper, this is one of our favorites, and I sometimes forget this one, but it's really important, is that everyone who voted on pink paper didn't go to the polls because they didn't think their vote counted or mattered. So that's a really important one, especially if you've got people who have not voted yet, or it's been a really long time, or you just have that feeling in the room that they, you know, are not really sure that this is going to make a difference if they attend this training because they've had such bad experiences or no experience at all, and they're just learning. So if you think that you have folks in the room that would relate to, then you might want to use that one. But I've done it where I've counted the votes and torn up the winner. The highest one always is the one I tear up.
This is a game?
This is a game.
Okay.
This is a game. But you have the candy.
Okay.
You never let down your audience. You have the candy. These pictures can be changed. We sometimes go to facilities where individuals are in day programs and such, and they don't like you to give individuals chocolate. So we do sugar-free, hard candy, and Tootsie Rolls or suckers. So they're usually okay with that. But also in Arizona, or if you're doing your training in the summer, chocolate doesn't go over so well. So it's hard to travel with. But you get to decide what's going to work for you. But if you're going to do training in a facility, I would make sure you have sugar-free candy, even if it's not on this list. But we actually did it on the list, and it went over pretty well. I was surprised. So just to know, this can be changed to whatever yours looks like. I happen to like Tootsie Rolls. I always feel like get something that you like in case you have a lot left over. So, just my thinking. Planning ahead. You know, you can change those pictures according to what your needs are, and you can do this according to how your style works best for you. If remembering the color paper makes it easier, then do that. And this was designed by Self-Advocates, I believe in California, and they said that Project Vote could use it. So you might see it in different places. So, but this is one of the favorites. It's a real crowd pleaser. And so you can think of the different things that you are talking about. For me, I even do, if somebody didn't do the ballot correctly, I say, uh-oh, they checked 2 things that they liked. That means it's a spoiled ballot and doesn't count at all. And I tear it in front of them. Tearing is a wonderful tool. And we want to make sure that we do lots of tearing if we can to it gets people engaged. So there's a couple of ways to do that. If you are looking at this and you can't remember what we've said today, then just give us trainers a call and we'll go through it with you, okay? Okay, Nancy, go ahead.
Okay.
Stop right there. Go back. Just a smidge.
Yeah, a little bit down.
Yeah, there you go.
In the real world, only 6 out of every 10 people with disabilities actually get out and vote. So guys, if we had everybody with a disability, we could get this to happen. Just think. We would be able to elect our own officials and do our own issues. And I think that's very exciting. So if you don't go out and vote, then you are going to get what other people decide is best. So if you don't go out there and vote for yourself, then you have no right to complain. And do you guys know that we could be speaking German, for example, because speaking English only won by one vote, or letting women vote only won by one vote. So your vote does count. So are there any questions, comments about this activity? Okay, then Juliana, could you go on, please?
So this break is built in again if you guys have the all-day training, or this is your chance to just, if you are having a few hours training, just to remind you that to take in and look around and see how your audience is doing, see if they look restless and need a little break, or if they're doing okay, you know, you can move on. We're going to check in with you in a little bit. We're going to keep going.
Registering to vote.
Next slide.
Here are the things that you will need for topic 3. Of course, the clock, the masking tape, the markers, the big paper, and of course your projector and your slides. And of course the copies to hand out. That is very important. And then your registration.
She cut off on that last part.
Registration forms.
Okay.
Next we will talk about the different rules that say who can and cannot register to vote. There are federal and state voting laws that we need to follow. Next slide, please. Next, we will talk about the different places people can register to vote. It is important to learn how people register to vote in different states. We can teach our states about how to make voting easier. One of my examples is I lived in a country town, and because like most people register at the courthouses or even post office places like that, but when I registered to vote, I registered to vote at a person's house.
Go back. Just 1 second. Okay. Would you share with us this slide?
You can register to vote in the United States?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Basic federal rules to be able to register to vote. You must be 18 years of age. You must be a resident in your community and live in our state for at least blank days before the election. And you must be a citizen of the United States. You do not have to read or write to be able to use a voting machine.
Thank you.
So who can register to vote in our state? What does our, the yellow is state specific. And what does our state say about being in jail? Each state has their own decision. Like in Oklahoma, if you're in jail, you cannot vote. What does our state say about being declared incompetent to vote?
I'd like to give an example of this because in Oklahoma it says you can't vote if you're incompetent. But I figure if somebody is smart enough to figure out what incompetent means, that they should be able to vote. And I want to find somebody who will be willing to challenge me. So far, we haven't found anybody willing to do that. But I'm still looking.
So in Arizona, the way this works is that a person who has been convicted and been in jail can actually petition to get their rights restored. Doesn't mean that they will, but they can petition for it. In Arizona, our registration paperwork says that if you're labeled and declared incompetent, then you can't vote. But in Arizona, we have limited guardianship, which means that you can petition to get that right restored. And our ID laws are very complicated, but we have a whole list that we work with to help people be able to vote. But we're also encouraging people to get their state ID or driver's license or whatever it is that they can before the voting occurs, because that's just going to make your life a whole lot easier to have the ID available. And we're going to learn what each of your states said about being registered how many days before the election here in a little bit when we go over your homework. So we will be talking about that a little bit more. Okay, Dee, would you go ahead and continue, please?
Yes. The next one?
Yes.
Next one. Places people can register to vote. The post office, town halls, grocery stores, libraries, Department of Human Resources, Department of Public Health, medical agencies, Department of Rehabilitation, both rehab. Is there any others that people can think of?
We have a few more on that. We have lots more, actually.
Okay, please.
Go to the next slide. Let me get it. No one's going to say.
Oh, okay, sorry. Some four-year universities, some colleges, where you get your ID online on the web. Go to govoter.org, click on the state contacts, and click on your state for the Secretary of State's information about voting. Next slide, please. election board, disability provider agencies. Examples are like the ARC, Centers for Independent Living, League of Women Voters. Now, are there any other ways people can register to vote?
I just like to hear that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut somebody off. Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to give an example here. A lot of times our People First chapter will have the League of Women Voters come and speak to them so that they become informed voters. They will get sample ballots, and then people can take the sample ballot with them to the polling place. But now that we have the machines, you know, that doesn't matter as much. But I still think it's important to do something like this because we help educate society in general about people with disabilities being informed voters.
Next slide, please. Supporting others to register. One of the ways you might be able to help people in your state is by helping them fill out registration forms. Next, we will be working in small groups to fill out registration forms. That's what you will do in the training. And then you want to make sure that they have their social security number and all the proper things. We would like each of you to practice on how to fill out the forms so you will be comfortable with helping others. Before you start, you are in small groups. There are a few tips of filling out registration forms. Use a blue or black pen. Sign the registration form. If you are using a signature or a stamp, you may need to fill out another form. Write out your full street address. Write down clearly, others can read it.
So now let's take a few minutes to practice helping someone fill out their registration form. This is what you guys would do at this point. And then what did you like about filling out the form? And this is another place that could be state specific. What didn't you like about filling out the form? How did supporting others to register go? And then these are just ways to keep you involved and interacting with the audience and help the audience interact with the training. So the next slide, please. A couple of things to remember about registering.
Go back.
You will get a registration card in the mail after you register to vote. Each state is different, but in our state, it is important to register at least and then however days before the election. You must fill out a new voter registration form if you move. The person who developed the training with Teresa and I just moved upstairs in her apartment building, but that put her in a different precinct. So she wasn't registered to vote, so she missed voting that one time. And then I moved just across the street, and I didn't think that changed my precinct either, but it did. So keep those things in mind. Next slide, please.
Hold on just a second. Before we move out of the registering section, just wanted to let you know that there are opportunities here to figure out what happened for some of the people that maybe they haven't voted for a while, and some of this may be the actual registration form or card that people really had a difficult time filling it out themselves and just thought this is just too hard because the writing was small and all kinds of things. They can actually get some support to do that, either a friend to help them or to make some requests from the state. So you can get some large print items, but it takes a while. So when you need these things, plan ahead. And we did have an individual who did talk to us about having the need to use a stamp, and they did have to fill out a separate form, and it took about 6 weeks. They were afraid they were going to miss the opportunity to vote. So make sure that you check and see if somebody asks you that question, that you check and see if your state requires a different form be filled out to be able to use that. So just so you guys know about those couple of instances. Okay. And next, Nancy is going to talk to us about rights and responsibilities.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. We're going to learn about rights and responsibilities in this topic. The next slide, please. I'm trying. So again, the things that you're going to need for presenting this topic, you'll need to know how long it's going to need to take, and you'll need the tape and markers, the flip chart, the computer and projector. And could you move it up a little bit, please? Thanks. Copies of the Project Vote handouts for the voting rights. And one of the things that's really important about your rights is the Help America Vote Act. So we need to understand this so we understand how we can get help to be able to vote. So HAVA is a federal law that makes voting accessible and says states must make sure that everyone can vote privately and independently. And that they set up a statewide system to give people provisional ballots if there is a question about whether they can vote. And what a provisional ballot is that it will allow you to vote if, say, like the examples I gave about TNI. So we would be able to vote by provisional ballot, but we didn't know if our ballots were counted. And that's what's hard about using a provisional ballot, is you don't know if they're going to be counted or not. You also want to create statewide computerized voter lists and make sure polling places have access to them. So the next slide, please. And also, you can bring someone you trust to help you vote. And this is real important for people to understand, because a lot of times we're told that somebody can't go into the voting booth with us. Well, they can. And poll workers cannot deny you the support. There are some people who cannot help you vote. Your boss, union officer from your job, a candidate who is on the ballot, and then you can also ask for help from the poll worker and from different parts, from officials from 2 different parties. So poll workers can help you with the voting process. But a poll worker cannot tell you how to vote, or they cannot explain the issue to you, because they're going to give you their explanation, and that may be different than what it actually is. And then everyone makes mistakes. And I tried this once on purpose. I made mistakes. And I was able to get new ballots twice, and you can get it up to 3 times. So I was able to just get it twice to see if I would be able to do that. And I was able to do that. And then, as we said, you can ask for a provisional ballot if you are told that you can't vote for some reason. And states may not count this. The next slide, please. You do not need to have a disability to use these machines. And that's one of the things that's cool. So what you could do is you could have the voting machines set out the whole time, and anybody could use them. And it would help make voting go faster for everybody. And every polling place must have an accessible voting booth to help people vote privately and independently. And privately and independently means so that they can do a private show or with support, but also not have people see their ballot. The next slide, please. And just like with anything, you also have responsibility. You need to make sure that you're registered to vote. Know the issues and candidates. Ask questions if you need some help. Can you guys think of any other responsibility?
Juliana's unmuting everyone to see if you have anything you'd like to add, and you can see if we thought of what your idea is. Okay, everyone.
This is Monica from Arizona. What about if you need a large print ballot? And I'm not sure if this would be a parking lot question or if this has to do with this, but if you, for example, if the accommodation you need is a large print ballot, are the poll workers allowed to have that? And if not, if so, wouldn't that be your responsibility? And if not, does that mean the only way you can get a large print ballot is to be on the permanent early voting list or PEVL?
So what you need to do is, yes, you're allowed to ask that.
Okay.
And but you need to ask it ahead of time, because what they're going to need is time to make the ballot.
Okay.
I actually, this is Robin from Alabama. I actually asked that at my voting precinct, and they told me that they weren't allowed to make the oversized ballots because they have to be counted through the counting machines, and they told me that I needed to use the accessible voting machine instead of having an oversized ballot. So that's what the answer I got to that in Tuscaloosa. So.
Teresa, do you want to go over that again? Because you were the one talking about that.
Well, it is, if you have requested it, a lot of times that kind of stuff, you can request it ahead of time and they can have it there for you, but that is a state issue. And it does sound like it goes state to state, but of course, anything that has an accommodation, a lot of times they're going to encourage you to do things at home. That's just the way some of this stuff comes across with accommodation. But you have the right to request it, and I would make sure you have plenty of time to make sure that it's at your polling precinct. But they will encourage you, of course, to do early voting.
But what if, this is Monica, but what if you've done that and they tell you, call the Secretary of State's office, they tell you to put it on your registration form, and you do, they tell you to put it and where to put it, and you do that, and they don't, and you're on the PEVL, the permanent early voting list, and they still don't send you the accommodation.
Hello?
Yeah.
The county, Maricopa County, sends out those ballots.
Yeah.
And so Maricopa County is responsible for making sure that they get that information.
Okay, cool. Can we talk about that afterwards?
Yes.
Well, actually, your answer is how you solve this. Is it Secretary of State's? Probably not. It's more of a county
More
issue.
of a county issue.
So that,
County elections.
yeah.
And so I have that contact information over the county.
Okay, yeah.
They're not providing that.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we talk about these things, because if they're not doing that in Alabama, then we need to make sure that they're talking about it and knowing how to address the issue when it comes up in their training. And it sounds like they'll encourage you to try to do all of that kind of accommodations through early voting, just to make sure it's there. Anyone else have a comment on an issue like that that's happened in their state? And remember, you're unmuted so we can hear everyone. So if you don't have a response to this question, you might want to wait just a second till we make sure we've gotten every comment.
This is Britt, and I do from Alabama. I
You may have to call in.
that
Is there a call-in number? Yeah.
I do remember that I'm pretty sure I was at my polling
Okay.
place.
No, that's the webinar ID.
That,
Call-in number.
Leave it
hear me?
Well, I
Hold
know
on
it's in the email, but I don't know how to get to my
Mute Nancy.
Telephone.
Is Leanne separate or together?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Brittany. I'm sorry. We had some background noise.
Okay. When I went to vote, I do believe that I did see next to, I do believe I did see some large print ballots next to, next to the, I guess you would say the regular one. I could be mistaken, but I do believe I did see that. And I'm, I voted in Alabama. So it may, I don't know. I could be mistaken. But I think I did see that.
Okay. So it could be a county issue for you guys as well. Some people had it available. Some people said no, it needs to fit through the machine. So it's probably one of those things where if you need an accommodation, you need to call your county board of elections just to make sure. Okay. Is that Vincent?
I think it's the same one.
Vincent, I believe we're hearing you, but it's very fragmented. Could you try one more time? I'm so sorry. It's really hard to hear you. Is it possible that you could maybe type it in so that we don't lose it completely? I'm sorry. I just didn't get enough of it to. Okay, we'll let Vincent maybe type that in or possibly email us that comment so that we don't lose it before the next call. But if you get it in today into the chat box, we'll bring it up again. I am so sorry. The technology is not 100%. Okay. Back to Nancy. Is she unmuted? Okay, Nancy, we can't hear you right at the moment. You might be muted on your end.
I was muted. Sorry.
There you go. Next. Oh, there. You do have it up. Okay.
I don't know that Teresa, can you hear Nancy?
Go ahead, Nancy. We can hear you.
Okay. The next slide, please.
Yeah, she's got it for you.
Okay. So you also want to be a role model as an informed voter. And you want to get out and vote. Being a role model means helping people get to the polls and helping them be able to vote if they ask for that help. It also means that you celebrate your voice and your voice. Being able to vote is a great cause for celebration, and we need to do that. You also need to get involved in other ways with voting in elections. Maybe you want to call your election board to find out where you can register to vote and vote on election day. Or you might want to look at someone or someone's campaign. Or you might want to be a poll worker because we can't educate people who are not willing to get out there and do it. The next piece. You could also ask a poll for voting information mail or large tent, or maybe tape. Also, remember that there's other accessible formats that you can use. You could also have the League of Women Voters support in getting information about the candidates and issues. And some they make it easy to read voters' guide, which is very helpful. And a good way to keep people involved in voting. Okay, the next slide, please. I might do this one too.
Yes.
Okay. The first training we had of the Vote Project, a gentleman in Jeffrey's Way wrote the poem.
Put it up on both sides.
I'm going to read they say, I vote. They say the decision is not mine. They say I don't stand. I guess they are being kind. I wonder what they would say or think if they only knew that when they called the president our president. I want to call him mine too. If I never get to vote, pulling the lever, punching the card, writing his name down. Please go down. I say down, inform, entertain, heart. That is what this world expected me to be. What I want, I want to be the most educated, most informed, most totally changed, the most totally empowered person that I can be when I vote. I can make a difference, and then I can say, with pride, not yours, not theirs, but my president because I put him there.
And that poem was written by Jeff Ridgway, who is a Alabama. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please?
We have a comment.
Okay.
You want me to read it? Yeah, I can't see it.
All right. It's from Tira and what's his name?
Vincent.
And Vincent, and it's what I was saying was the fact that when you send the accommodations, make sure you have them send it to the right place. I found out that people living above me have a different voting location than me, so it can be a problem if you don't know where you are allowed to vote.
Very true, Vincent. Very true. We're seeing that happen more and more. Okay, so the plan is that we'll do this topic and then we'll check in with everyone and see how we're doing with the need for a short break. But we'll go ahead and go through this topic, and then we'll check in with everyone, just so you know what's happening. And our topic number 5 is one of the favorites. Of course, they're all good. I am a little prejudiced, though. But I do enjoy this topic 5 a lot. It's ways to learn about candidates and issues. And there again, you have how to get yourself set up and have everything that you need. One of the most important things is that you're prepared for the activity that's in this section or topic, and that you are prepared with maybe even some props. Some people have gone all out and made sure that they are ready for this one, but we'll introduce it in just a few moments. The purpose of this topic is to talk about the different ways we can learn about the candidates, the things they stand for, and the issues that are important to our lives. And so here is some of the ways that we can learn about candidates and issues. Next slide, please. We can have a legislative day. This is one of the most popular ways that individuals with disabilities learn about what's going on in their state, is to have legislative days. Oftentimes from the DD partners, they will have legislative awareness days, and the DD partners are your developmental disabilities planning councils, your protection and advocacy organizations, and your university centers for excellence in developmental disabilities. Often host and co-host these activities. You can have an appointment with your legislator. Find out what they stand for. Look up the candidates' voting records. Read your local newspaper and cut out articles and save them and read them later. Read your voter's manual. I know it's a little hard sometimes, but you can do it. I promise you, I have been able to do it. And you can listen to the voter's manual in your state. You might even have it on CD for you. You can talk to family and friends, but remember, it's your decision. If they have information, but you decide. Listen to radio and TV and talk shows. Tell stories and share your voting experiences with others. Make a checklist of things that are important to you, and check and see if your candidates share the same ideas. Someone who supports you can go through the different issues with you. It should be someone you trust. Educate and work with parents and self-advocates and staff. Invite someone from the League of Women Voters. Invite an elected official to speak with your group. And then you ask your audience, what are some other ways that you could learn about the candidates? I learn a lot. Just go back just a second. I learn a lot by what they are and are not saying in their nasty little commercials about each other. I learn a lot from them about that. Okay? And so we're going to now have a role play. And there are 3 different characters. They're the candidates. And your group has invited them to speak. And these are going to be volunteers from your audience or from your training team, whichever you prefer. Sometimes you can be really well prepared if it's your training team that does it, if you want to be more spontaneous and you have more time, you can get volunteers from your audience. A lot of times I prefer doing it from the training team. That way I can get the right props and we can have time to practice. That's just my preference, though. And there are character cards that come with this section that will help you, and we'll show you those in just a few minutes. And the things that we're trying to learn from this role play, next slide please. The things that we're trying to learn from this role play is who would you vote for, why would you vote for them, and the critical one, what would change your mind? We got some characters. And so we have Sally or Sam Socialite. That's the person who's doing it and bubbly and all over the place and acts like they're too busy for your group almost. And you're kind of wondering, it's just a photo op for them, right? Because they're floating around the room and saying things like, don't you like my suit? And isn't this a pretty color? And I want to be your best friend. That's the socialite. Carrie Community or Carl Community is the person who has already visited your group before, and they know your issues and what you have to say is very important to them. And they say, what is important to you? And they get a couple of examples from the audience even. And they say, oh, that's a really good issue. Let me get with my team and we'll figure out what we can do about that. They really seem to care. So, and then there is Leo or Lily Legislator. They've been around for years. We all know them. It's like, I thought they died, but they're still here. They've been here forever, but they know a lot, and they almost know too much, and they almost are as bad as Sally because they still don't seem to care about what's important to you. They're looking at their phone, they're looking at their watch, and they kind of ignore you even if you raise your hand because they really don't have time for you. Because they already know what the issues are. They've been around forever. So that's a short description of those folks. And then you ask the audience, well, who would you vote for? And you talk to them and they say, well, this person, even though they were flighty, I really not liked them because they were nice. Is that a good enough reason to vote for somebody because you thought they were nice? What if Carrie Community had something going on? We'll check in with her. But Carrie seemed to care about the issues. She usually gets the most votes, right? Because she seems to care. Mm-hmm. Leo, however, most people pick him because he knows how the system works. So you will get people who will pick everybody. You'll get different groups will pick for different reasons. And you'll be like, that's a good reason, right? Yeah, it's a good reason. He does know how it works. He's got connections. He's been in there a while. So even though you might not like him, they might like him for a reason. So we got to listen to why people would vote for them and why. But the really fun part comes in, and this is what we see in our everyday candidates, is that they're human. And they might have done something that might change your mind, and it might not. Sally or Sam Socialite has been supporting the closing of sheltered workshops and is helping people get jobs in the community. So would that change your mind? Wow, Sally's got it going on for people with disabilities. Pretty interesting. What if you found out Carrie or Carl Community has done something bad in the past, like stealing money from an employer? Would that change your mind? Carrie's a thief. She stole. Oh my goodness. Would that be enough? Maybe it's been a long time. When do we forgive when we're voters? When do we forgive? Lily or Leo legislator got campaign money from the insurance companies and cut Medicare. Would that do it for you? What do you think? What would change your mind? So those are examples that helps your group think about what would change their mind. These are things that are happening to people who are voting all the time. They're listening to all these stories and all those kinds of things. And so we need to make sure that we make it fun, but we make sure that the point is these are people and they are sometimes good to look at. They're handsome or pretty, but is that enough to vote for somebody? Some people implied that that's how Clinton got in, was because he was handsome and well-spoken. How did he get in? Did we know his politics ahead of time? Not sure. But these are things that people have to think about, and people with disabilities need to think about too. Why would they vote for somebody? Earlier we gave examples of when you vote and who you vote for. Why did you vote for that person for president of your group? Were they your friend? Is that a good enough reason? Well, we'll find out, won't we? So in this topic 5, you have character cards. And one of the things that Sally can do if you want, one time I was Sally and I brought cookies. And I brought my camera. Talk about when people get weak about what they're thinking about is when they get their picture taken. When do we distract people away from what is really important? So those are a couple of suggestions on there. Some of the things that you might say, those are the character cards, and they're at the end of topic 5. And so, next slide, please. How do you vote? Nancy, would you like to start us on this topic, please? Is she muted? Muted herself. Nancy, you're muted yourself, so if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Okay, no, that time my computer was down, so I had to back up.
Okay. Are you all set now?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I have next slide, please?
Next slide, Juliana.
How do you vote? Maybe you vote a mail-in ballot or touch-screen voting. A touch voting machine at the place. It's a paper ballot at a poll place. Or an absentee ballot. Or sometimes you might need to vote early. And so you can do early voting. Do you guys have any other ideas of what you could do?
Are they unmuted? Okay, does anybody else have any other ways that you can vote? Okay, so Nancy, you can go on. I don't think they have anything to add right now.
Okay. Voting means that you are actually voting for a person or an issue on that ballot. Depending on your local community ballot, you may touch a computer screen or use a pencil to fill in the bubbles next to your choice. You also might do the way you can make your decision. It's important how you do that. Remember that you have someone to help you. It is right the person you trust to assist you. You and your helper might have to fill out a form, and you want to help you. Have you guys ever had to do that before? Okay.
She's checking in. Just a second, Nancy.
Okay.
Has anyone ever had to fill out a form to identify the person that they wanted to help them? We have seen this start to happen.
Yeah.
You heard a yes? We heard a yes, but I wasn't sure where it came from. Anyway, if you have had that happen, please send me an email. I'd like to start tracking this, whether this is going to be an issue for people or not. Because we need to know if that's starting to be a issue. We might be able to do something about that. So, yeah. So we'd like to know. That's another thing that the Vote Project does, is it identifies issues and takes it all the way to the top sometimes to cut some of these issues off that are stalling people at the polls. Go ahead, Nancy.
So now we want to talk a little more about voting machines. Voting machines are state-specific, so on the slide you will see it in yellow so that you can make it fit your state.
And this is even county level, yeah, in many places. So where did you find that list? I forgot where you found that list.
I think I found that from the Secretary of State. Arizona has, I think, 15 counties, and we have, I think we calculated, there's like 4 different machines being utilized by the different counties. I think 3 or 4 different machines. So check with your counties to see if they use a different machine in each state. So that might be state specific.
Yeah, so that's really important. If you're going to have people practice on something, you might want to make sure they're giving you the right one. So just check on that. Go ahead.
So now these are different polling places. You could vote at the library or a house of worship, or maybe your police department. Or a lot of communities use their school. These are possible polling places. So one of the ones that we did talk about was a restaurant. And as he said, when she registered to vote, she lived in a small community. She registered in someone's home. You could also in recreation or community center. What are other possible polling places? You guys have any suggestions?
What if you live, this is Monica from Arizona, what if you live in a apartment or a condominium complex or a mobile home park where they might have a clubhouse? And I know you're talking about city recreational centers or community centers, but what about your apartment complex? They may have a center or a clubhouse.
Well, they have to meet all the requirements that a polling place would have, accessibility and other things that other places would have.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying, what about that?
They could.
They could use that.
Yeah, they could very easily do that.
One of the things that we have real common in Arizona, and you may have in some of your states, is that they do voting on Native American nations in each state. So in Arizona, the Navajo Nation, they vote at chapter houses. So just be aware that certain states with Native communities may actually vote on the nations. And so you get into some complex issues about the ADA applying to polling sites on the different nations. So even if they are on the nations and they're having general elections, they need to be accessible.
Also, in Oklahoma, we have 39 different tribes, but just live in our communities. So we don't have reservations.
Same thing.
So next slide, please.
Okay, so because I am human and I made a mistake, we were supposed to check in and see if folks wanted a break. Darn that humanness thing anyway. I wanted to just check in with the states and see how they're doing. Alabama, do you guys need a quick break, like a 5-10 minute break, something like that?
That'd be great for me.
Okay. Yeah? Okay. Well, I say That sounds like a really good plan. Let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes.
Coming back in 15 hours, is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Let's see,
They're at different times.
quarter
Quarter after?
quarter after.
A quarter after. We just say quarter after.
My brain went, what? Quarter after. Can you?
Okay.
You can stop showing the screen. No, you can't. Mute everybody. Mute everybody. Give them some privacy. And we can do that. Hi everyone, are we all back? Let's check in. Alabama folks, are you back?
We're back.
How about Florida folks, are you back?
We are.
Maryland? Okay.
I'm here. Oh, you get it off mute.
Wonderful. Nancy, are you back? Dee?
He had to go home. I'm still here.
Okay.
Hey, you forgot me.
Who's that? Never.
Leanne.
I was just looking at your name going, I spelled it wrong. Oh. No, Leanne, are you ready to resume?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, we are going to start talking about getting around voting problems. And these situations that we're going to talk about there are so many of them that we can't possibly talk about them all today. But we wanted to pick a few of the ones that are important to us. And
Back on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the section that hopefully by now your audience has started to feel really comfortable with you, and they're going to tell you some of their voting issues. But we made up these voting problem cards that you can use to help you to lead small group activities, large group activities. You can throw out an issue and brainstorm it as a large group, or you can give out a few cards to each small group and have them brainstorm their solutions to them. It's all about solutions. We really want to make sure that we try to address what's really happening for people when they try to register and when they try to vote. Because at either occasion you could run into something. So we wanted to make sure that we took time on this to show you guys the different ways that you can share this with your audience. It is really important that you know the different tools that are available to you. You can do big papers on this and write down the solutions. And if you get really creative things, please, please share them with us, because we constantly want to improve the vote training. We also have available to us online, we have many examples that are videos, just so you have that option as well. Juliana's going to pull up the SAVE website again. You're going to go to the Go Voter tab, and then you're going to select the toolkit. And again, at the bottom of that page is all of the different things that we have available to us. And we are going to look at, right now, we're going to look at the Rude Poll Worker. Why isn't it should be speaking.
No, on YouTube. YouTube.
It's Sorry about that. We're having a technical difficulty. What was that? Maybe we won't be able to share this with you. Turn the computer, the laptop volume
Down.
down.
Turn it down. Down.
On your computer. Okay, we may not be able to access this one.
Well, we're gonna have to switch it because I put it only to that. On the no, I mean on the webinar. I only put it to this, not my computer.
Okay. Do I need to mute this?
So we unplug it.
They don't seem to be compatible.
Yeah, unplug it and do.
This video was produced to help people with disabilities understand and get around the barriers to being able to vote privately and independently. Problems. The attitude of the poll worker is negative and you feel uncomfortable. Thank you. This really looks different than it did last time. Ma'am, is there any way that you could help me with this?
I mean, the instructions are right there. So, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. You've been here for like 10 minutes. We have a line, if you don't see. I mean, we have and it's kind of holding the process up. So if you could just read those directions.
What would you do? One possible solution, do your best to communicate your needs or ask for somebody else to help you. I realize that there is a line there, and I can see that I am taking a long time, but I really do have the right to understand how I want to vote, and so
That's what the instructions are for. That's why they're there.
then is there anybody else who could help me?
Here we go.
Speaker switch to speaker.
Okay.
Switch. Speaker to TV.
So there you see the amazing talents of Nancy Ward.
I remember that one.
She has many videos and always does a great job for us. But there are many examples on there. So you can use combinations of small group activities, group discussion, or videos. And there are some really great ones on there that I think you'll find really helpful when you're trying to get people to open up about what has happened to them in the past. Do you want to do one more?
Which one?
Go ahead and do the poll worker says you can't vote.
This video was produced to help people with disabilities understand and get around the barriers to being able to vote privately and independently. Problem: the poll worker says you can't vote.
Hi, I'm Greg Meyer. I'm here to vote today.
Unfortunately, sir, you're unable to vote today.
What would you do? One possible solution: ask the poll worker to confirm that you are not registered to vote. If the poll worker shows you proof that you can't vote, then ask for a provisional ballot.
Why can't I vote today? I've been voting for several years. Why can't I vote now?
Sir, it's been confirmed that you're not in my poll book. Did you change your last name? Have you moved in the past couple months or anything of that nature?
Oh, shoot. I moved a few months ago, and I must have forgotten to update my registration.
Oh, okay. You can still vote. You can vote by using a provisional ballot. A provisional ballot is one that can be used by anyone when there's a question about their eligibility to vote. What we do is fill out the form. It's taken to the election board. They determine the eligibility of your residency, and they will cast your ballot. You call the election board within a couple weeks to see if they cast your ballot. And while you're here, let's fill out a new voter registration form.
Okay.
The Help America Vote Act gives everyone the right to use a provisional ballot if there's a question about their eligibility to vote. Never leave the polling place without voting.
Plug that in. What page were we on, Teresa? We were on 60. I hope everyone was able to hear that okay. If not, we recommend that you go through each one of the videos and just listen to it. We are trying to get the 28-minute video to work. That is a technical glitch that we are working on. But the other ones do seem to be a live link, so you can use them. So getting around voting problems, even though it is a larger activity, like I said before, these cards are not made up. These are real examples that we've gathered over the years of doing the vote training, and I think it's really helpful if you send us anything that you've run across that we don't have an example of. It just helps us all to be able to support individuals to have good experiences when they go to vote. And just want to check in real quick and see how everybody's doing. Does anybody have any questions about this topic? Alabama? Juliana's getting you unmuted. Hold on. Alabama, do you have any questions about this topic or how to do it? Susan, you're muted. Do you have any questions? Okay. How about here in Arizona? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. How about here in Arizona? Any questions about how to do this topic? How about Florida? Any questions?
No. I don't have any questions. I don't know, Dana?
No.
Okay. And how about Maryland? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and...
I think Tira and the other person.
Vincent?
Yeah, Vincent.
Vincent and Tiara, do you have a question? We're going to have to ask you to type again. I'm so sorry. Just give them a moment.
Oh no. Oh, they need to leave because of the Baltimore issues.
Okay.
There's a riot going on.
Right now? Wow.
But here's what they were. You see what they were saying though. Oh, isn't it almost time to stop?
Oh. You guys told me
1:31.
7 hour, right?
it's 11 to...
I thought it was 11 to 1:30.
Yeah, we put it 1:30.
Okay. Okay. Juliana, is that right? What time is it? Yeah. Okay. So next time we get back together, we're going to continue with topic 8, and we're going to check in with your homework. We have, can you go back to the other PowerPoint slide? Just a couple questions for you. This is about getting to know a little bit more about your state and a little bit more about voting in general. The next question that we are going to talk about is what is a primary election and what are the important dates of your primary election, and what is a general election and what are the important dates of the next general election. So those are your homework questions, and we will go over your homework from last time the next time we get together, and we're going to talk a little bit about just increasing your general knowledge about the election process, about primary and general election. So that's your homework. And then we'll continue with topic 8 and go through the rest of the toolkit and get you ready for starting to make your plan. Is there any last minute questions before we exit? Hearing no questions, I will look forward to any emails that you have to send me about any questions that came up in between the meetings, and we will see you next Tuesday, May the 5th, and you will receive your notification from GoToWebinar. Thank you all very much for your time again today, and thank you for your comments. It really helps the discussion. Thank you so much. Have a great week.